Let's be honest. If she deeply wants you, you already won long before the late night texts, before the labels, before anyone said anything out loud. And here's the uneasy truth most men never hear. By the time you're trying to make her want you, the real battle is already over. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. I'm not here to flatter you. I'm here to tell you what women rarely say plainly. Desire doesn't grow the way men are taught it does. It doesn't respond to pressure, performance, or persuasion. It responds to something quieter and far more uncomfortable: how you make her feel when nothing is being forced. A woman who deeply wants you doesn't feel confused around you. She doesn't need constant reassurance. She feels grounded, safe, alert in a good way. Your presence lowers her inner noise instead of adding to it, and that's the first sign most men miss because they're too busy watching for signals instead of noticing the atmosphere they create. Here's the part that might sting. Women decide emotionally before they ever decide logically. She doesn't sit down and calculate your worth like a spreadsheet. Her nervous system decides first. Her body answers the question before her mind catches up. When she leans in, relaxes her shoulders, mirrors your pace, or feels comfortable with silence around you, that's not accidental. That's her system saying this feels right. And when a woman feels that, you don't need tricks. You don't need to chase. You don't need to convince. In fact, trying to do those things can quietly undo what was already working, because desire deepens in freedom, not pressure. Most men think winning means intensity, more attention, more effort, more words. But deep female attraction often grows in the opposite environment. It grows when she feels chosen, not hunted. When she senses you want her, but don't need her to fill a hole in you. That distinction matters more than you realize. Let me tell you something. Most dating advice skips over. A woman can feel your emotional posture before she hears your words. If you're tense, outcome-focused, or secretly afraid of losing her, she feels it. And fear doesn't feel like desire on the receiving end. It feels like weight. When she deeply wants you, she's not scanning for exits. She's not measuring you against other options. She's present, curious, invested without forcing herself to be. And that state is fragile. It doesn't survive games, manipulation, or emotional inconsistency. This is why some men are shocked when a woman pulls away out of nowhere. It wasn't out of nowhere. It was the moment the emotional environment changed. The moment she felt pressure where there used to be ease. The moment wanting turned into managing. Understand this, and you stop chasing signs. You start becoming the kind of man whose presence is the sign. Calm, self-directed, emotionally steady, not performative, not desperate, not withdrawn either, just grounded. If she deeply wants you, you don't have to ask where you stand. You feel it in how little you have to force. And if that feels unfamiliar, good. Growth often does. The biggest mistake men make when a woman starts to deeply want them is panicking and trying to lock it down. This is where most victories quietly turn into losses. Not because you did something terrible, but because you did something unnecessary. Here's the truth most men aren't prepared for. When a woman's desire is real, it's self-sustaining. It doesn't need constant feeding. It doesn't need daily proof. In fact, overfeeding it can suffocate it. Desire is not hunger, it's appetite. And appetite disappears when everything is forced onto the table at once. When she deeply wants you, she's watching how you handle power. Not dominance power, emotional power. Do you stay centered when she leans in? Or do you abandon yourself to keep her? Do you remain the same man she was drawn to? Or do you suddenly reshape your life around her presence? Women don't fall for perfection. They fall for consistency of identity. She wants to know that the man she's connecting with exists, whether she's there or not. The moment she senses that her attention is the thing holding you together, something in her pulls back. Not out of cruelty, but instinct. This is where female psychology gets misunderstood. Men assume withdrawal means disinterest. Often, it means overwhelm. She feels the weight of responsibility for your emotional state. And that's not desire. That's pressure. Desire thrives where there is space to choose. Think about it carefully. When you wanted something deeply, something meaningful, was it because someone cornered you into it or because you arrived there freely? Women are no different. If anything, they're more sensitive to the feeling of being emotionally cornered. A woman who deeply wants you still needs to feel free. Free to move closer, free to pull back a little without punishment, free to exist without managing your reactions. When she has that freedom, her desire grows roots. When she loses it, desire turns into obligation. And obligation never lasts. This is why emotional restraint is so powerful. Not coldness, not games. Restraint. The ability to feel deeply without leaking insecurity. The ability to enjoy her presence without clinging to it. That balance tells her more about your value than any compliment ever could. Another hard truth, women test not because they want drama, but because they want clarity. They want to know if your center holds when emotions shift, if your mood collapses when plans change, if your confidence evaporates when she needs space. These moments aren't traps. They're information gathering. And when you pass those moments quietly, without resentment or withdrawal, something clicks in her. Safety deepens. Respect grows. Desire stabilizes. She doesn't feel like she has to protect herself from your reactions. Men who win early often lose later because they confuse desire with possession. They start acting like the relationship is fragile instead of alive. But something alive needs room to breathe. If she deeply wants you, your job is not to secure her. It's to remain the man she chose to want. Grounded, purpose-driven, emotionally present, but not emotionally dependent. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to shake because your life, your direction, and your self-respect don't hinge on any one person. And when a woman senses that, her desire doesn't fade. It settles. Most men think attraction is about what you do for a woman. But when a woman deeply wants you, it's less about your actions and more about your emotional gravity. She's not pulled in by effort alone. She's pulled in by how you move through the world when no one is applauding. Emotional gravity comes from alignment. Your words match your actions. Your boundaries match your values. You don't say yes to things that quietly drain you just to keep someone close. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you trustworthy. Women don't trust men who abandon themselves easily because if you'll betray yourself, you'll eventually betray the relationship too. Here's something rarely said out loud. Women are constantly scanning for emotional incongruence. Tiny cracks. Moments where you say one thing but feel another. Moments where you agree but resent it later. When she senses that split, her desire hesitates. Not because she's judging you, but because inconsistency feels unsafe at a biological level. A woman who deeply wants you feels your presence before she processes your words, your tone, your pace, your stillness. You don't rush to feel. Silence, because you're comfortable inside it. Silence, handled well, creates depth. Handled poorly, it creates anxiety. Most men talk themselves out of attraction by trying to prove it. Another uncomfortable truth over explaining kills mystery. Not the manipulative kind of mystery, the natural kind that comes from having an inner life. When you narrate every thought, every insecurity, every intention, you remove the space where curiosity lives. Desire needs something to lean toward. This doesn't mean emotional unavailability, it means emotional containment. You can be open without being unfiltered. You can be honest without being reactive. Women feel the difference immediately when she deeply wants you. She's not just attracted to you, she's regulating through you. Your calm helps her calm. Your certainty helps her feel safe exploring vulnerability. That's why men who are emotionally chaotic, even if they're exciting at first, rarely inspire long-term desire. Pay attention to how she behaves when she's stressed, tired, or uncertain. If she seeks your presence during those moments, that's not convenience, that's trust. Her nervous system is choosing you as a place of stability. But stability doesn't mean predictability in the boring sense. It means emotional reliability. She knows you won't punish her for honesty. She knows you won't disappear emotionally when things get uncomfortable. And she knows you won't overreact when things don't go your way. Men often ask, how do I keep her interested? The better question is, am I someone she can rest in? Interest can be sparked by excitement. Deep wanting is sustained by safety combined with direction. Direction matters. A man without direction feels like an emotional passenger. A man with direction feels like someone she can walk beside without worrying where the ground ends. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need to be moving with intention. When those elements come together, alignment, containment, direction, desire, stops being fragile. It becomes anchored. If she deeply wants you, it's because being with you feels like expansion, not confusion. And that's not something you perform. It's something you live. One of the clearest signs a woman deeply wants you is also the one that scares most men. She starts showing you her unfiltered self, not the polished version, not the agreeable version, the real one. And this is where many men accidentally lose everything. When she opens up emotionally, she's not asking you to fix her. She's watching how you hold her truth. Do you rush to solve? Do you minimize? Do you get defensive? Or do you stay steady and present while she reveals parts of herself she usually protects? Female desire deepens when vulnerability is met with strength, not strategy. Strength doesn't mean silence. It means you don't collapse, lecture, or make her. Emotions about you. You stay grounded enough that she can feel without managing your response. Here's what most men misunderstand. Emotional intensity is not a test of endurance, it's a test of leadership. Can you guide the emotional moment without controlling it? Can you validate without validating chaos? Can you listen without absorbing what isn't yours? When she deeply wants you, she'll sometimes push not to push you away, but to see where you end. And she begins. Healthy desire requires boundaries. Without them, attraction turns into enchment, and enchment suffocates desire. This is why saying no calmly and respectfully can increase attraction. It shows her that your center doesn't move just because emotions are present, that you can care without capitulating, that you can love without losing form. Another truth that's rarely spoken: women don't feel safe with men who agree with everything. Agreement without discernment feels like absence. Presence includes opinion. It includes standards. It includes the courage to gently disagree when something doesn't align with you. When she shares her fears, frustrations, or doubts, she's inviting you into her inner world. How you respond teaches her what kind of future is possible with you. If she feels heard and still feels your strength, her desire deepens. If she feels like she has to protect you from her truth, it fades. Men often think being emotionally strong means being emotionally distant. That's not strength, that's avoidance. Real strength is staying open without becoming unstable. It's being affected without being undone. Pay attention to moments when she's not at her best. Is she still drawn to you afterward? Does she feel closer, not ashamed? That's a sign of deep wanting. Shame kills desire faster than anything. Safety dissolves shame. And here's the hard part. Once a woman feels that level of safety, she becomes more selective, not less. She wants you, not distractions. But that also means the standard rises. She expects consistency. She expects integrity. She expects the man she trusted to still be there tomorrow. Desire at this level isn't fragile, but it is honest. It won't tolerate masks for long. If you try to perform instead of embody, she'll feel the shift. If she deeply wants you, she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for someone real, grounded, and brave enough to stay present when things get real. And the men who can do that don't chase desire. They contain it. The moment a woman deeply wants you, the dynamic quietly shifts. And most men don't realize it until it's too late. She stops asking, "Do I like him?" and starts asking, "Can I trust what this could become?" That question changes everything. At this stage, desire isn't loud, it's focused. And focus is dangerous if you mishandle it, because now every inconsistency matters more. Every broken word echoes louder, every emotional shortcut costs more than it used to. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When a woman deeply wants you, she watches your patterns, not your promises. Words still matter, but behavior tells her the future. If you say you value her but disappear when life gets inconvenient, she notices. If you speak confidently about growth but resist accountability, she notices. Desire doesn't blind her, it sharpens her perception. This is where many men lose ground by relaxing too early. They think attraction means safety. They think wanting means forgiveness. But deep desire doesn't mean she'll tolerate misalignment. Means she's deciding whether to invest more of herself or protect what she's already given. A woman who deeply wants you wants to feel proud of that desire. Proud of choosing you. Proud of how you show up when no one is watching. Pride strengthens desire. Doubt corrodes it. Another truth men rarely hear. Emotional reliability is more seductive than excitement at this level. You don't need to constantly impress her. You need to arrive consistently on time, emotionally honest in small moments, present even when you're tired. Inconsistency forces her into vigilance. Vigilance kills desire, not dramatically quietly. She starts monitoring instead of feeling, thinking instead of sinking. And once a woman starts managing her emotions around you, something precious is already slipping. This is also the phase where your relationship with yourself becomes impossible to hide. How you handle stress, how you speak about others, how you respond to frustration. These things either confirm her trust or unravel it. Men often ask why a woman who once wanted them so deeply suddenly feels distant. It's rarely sudden, it's cumulative. Tiny fractures ignored, signals dismissed, integrity assumed instead of maintained. If she deeply wants you, your power is in your follow-through. Say less, mean more. Do what you said you would, even when no one would blame you for not doing it. Especially then, and here's the part that separates men who keep desire from men who lose it. Self-respect, not ego. Self-respect. The ability to uphold your values without hardening, to admit mistakes without collapsing, to correct course without excuses. Women don't expect perfection. They expect ownership. When you take responsibility cleanly without deflection or self-pity, something profound happens. Respect deepens. Desire stabilizes. She feels safe investing further. At this level, desire isn't about being wanted. It's about being chosen again and again through behavior. Chosen because you are steady. Chosen because you are real. Chosen because your presence adds clarity, not chaos. If she deeply wants you, you don't need to hold her tighter. You need to hold yourself to a higher standard, because desire doesn't leave when it's respected. It leaves when it's taken for granted. If she deeply wants you, the real win isn't that she chose you once seats, that she keeps choosing you when she doesn't have to. And that choice is shaped by something most men overlook: who you become when comfort arrives. Comfort reveals character. When the chase ends, when attraction is established, when effort is no longer fueled by fear of loss, this is where the truth shows. Some men soften into presence. Others decay into complacency. Women feel that difference immediately. A woman who deeply wants you doesn't want a man who peaked at attraction. She wants a man who expands inside commitment. Someone whose curiosity, discipline, and direction don't disappear once he feels secure. Desire doesn't die from time, it dies from stagnation. Here's the hard reality. Women don't leave men who are growing. They leave men who stop paying attention to themselves, to the relationship, to the emotional climate they create. Growth keeps desire oxygenated. Stagnation suffocates it slowly. And growth doesn't mean constant change. It means aliveness. You're engaged with your life. You're refining your standards. You're still learning, still listening, still leading yourself. That energy is felt, not announced. When a woman deeply wants you, she wants to feel like choosing you moves her forward, not sideways. Forward emotionally, forward psychologically, forward in how she experiences herself around you. She should feel more herself, not less. This is why the most dangerous thing you can do once you're wanted is stop being intentional. Stop being curious about her inner world. Stop challenging yourself. Stop honoring your own boundaries. The moment you drift, she feels like she's floating alone. Another quiet truth. Women don't want to be your entire world, but they do want to feel like they matter in it. Priority without pedestal, importance without dependence. That balance is rare, and when you hold it, desire doesn't fade, it deepens. If she deeply wants you, you don't need to tighten control. You need to maintain clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you stand for, where you're going, and how she fits into a life that already has meaning. This is where many men confuse love with possession. But love that lasts is spacious. It allows autonomy. It invites choice every day. And choice is what keeps desire alive. Ask yourself this honestly. If she stepped back tomorrow, would you still respect the man in the mirror? Would your life still move forward? Would your values still hold? If the answer is yes, you're already operating from strength. If the answer is no, That's where the work is. Because here's the final truth. The women who deeply want you don't want you to cling to them. They want you to stand beside them, grounded, self-directed, emotionally present. And if you've been listening closely, you already know this isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about becoming a man whose presence feels like certainty in a world full of noise. So, here's my question for you. Answer it honestly in the comments. Do you want to be chosen because she needs you or because she freely wants you? If this hits something real in you, like the video, subscribe for more truths men aren't taught, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it before it's too